The 10 interesting facts about the 3 wise men. Number 10. Early representations without crowns. In the first artistic manifestations of Christianity, the Magi did not appear crowned or wearing royal insignia. In the frescoes of the catacombs and early Christian sarcophagi, male figures could be seen bowing down offering gifts, often in simple attire or with oriental caps instead of crowns. This initial way of representing them responded to the intention of emphasizing their role as wise men or astrologers from faraway lands, rather than enhancing a monarchical rank that had not yet been associated with them. The adoption of the title of king occurred gradually, partly due to the theological reading of the Old Testament prophecies and the need to show Christ as the supreme king to whom other sovereigns submitted. However, the earliest plastic works maintained the sobriety of the Magi's attire, reflecting an interpretation closer to the text of Matthew, where they are described as magicians or wise men. Thus, these early artistic vestiges offer a unique window into the iconographic evolution that would later crown visitors with symbols of royalty. Number 9. Exhibition in museums. Various artistic pieces depicting the 3 wise men, from carved ivories to painted panels, have been preserved and, over the centuries, brought together in prestigious collections. Museums in different countries now exhibit altarpieces, sculptures, and illuminated manuscripts that show the scene of the Epiphany in all its richness. These museum collections, made up mainly of donations, acquisitions, or recoveries from temples and private collections, have allowed historians and scholars to delve deeper into the variety of styles and periods. The exhibition of these works in a museum context facilitates detailed contemplation of the composition, the features of the physiognomy, the painting technique, or the sculptural reliefs. Each piece also tells its own story of origin, often linked to a specific chapel or monastery. In this way, the exhibition of the Magi in museums not only enriches the cultural heritage, but also encourages a continuous dialogue with the past and a renewed perception of the symbolism surrounding adoration. Number 8. Early Christian frescoes without details of origin. Early Christian frescoes depicting the Magi often show a symbolic rather than narrative approach. In them, the figures appear without specific indications of geographical origin or social rank, reflecting the priority of communicating the universality of the manifestation of Christ. Such scenes focused on the gesture of offering and the presence of the star, thus reinforcing the liturgical and devotional dimension of the image. The absence of details about the origin of the Magi in these early frescoes is explained by the catechetical intention of the iconography, to capture the great mysteries of the Christian faith in a direct manner, without the need for trappings or superfluous elements. Over the centuries, art would evolve to introduce more elaborate features, but in these primordial testimonies we can perceive the germ of devotion to the Epiphany, centered on the humility of the birth and the reverent response of those who recognize the divine mystery. Number 7. Influence of Byzantine art. Byzantine art played a fundamental role in the way the Magi were represented, especially through mosaics and icons made in Constantinople and other cities of the Eastern Empire. The use of gold backgrounds, the stylization of the figures, and solemn attitudes influenced later iconography, both in the Western and Eastern spheres. The Magi, dressed in rich clothing and even with touches of Persian influence, acquired an air of majesty and transcendence. This Byzantine imprint also strengthened the idea of a triumphant epiphany, in which the sumptuousness of the garments emphasized the heavenly glory revealed on earth. Furthermore, the hieratic and frontal style of the compositions underlined the solemnity of the encounter between the human and the divine. Thus, The Byzantine tradition brought an additional sophistication to the adoration of the Magi, which the art of the Western regions would later receive, incorporating Oriental features in the representation of these wise men. Number 6. Representation in carved ivory. Ivory carving was one of the most highly prized artistic techniques in late antiquity and the early Middle Ages. Consular diptychs and liturgical chests are examples where the scene of the Epiphany could be depicted in minute detail, thanks to the ductility and natural beauty of the material. The contrast between the light background of the ivory and the fine reliefs allowed the gestures, the folds of the vestments, and the delivery of gifts to be highlighted with great precision. These carvings, often small in format, circulated between palatial courts and episcopal sees, functioning as objects of prestige and devotion. On their delicate surfaces, the Magi appeared in different attire from that of the Holy Family, underlining their foreign character. Ivory work, due to its quality and difficulty, was usually reserved for the most valuable representations, and the visit of the kings to the child Jesus was one of the sacred moments that were considered worthy of this artistic care. Number 5. Great frequency in Romanesque portals. Romanesque architecture, with its churches with thick walls and semicircular arches, gave a privileged place to the Epiphany in the sculpture of portals and capitals. On the main portal or on some side portals, the faithful could contemplate the relief of the three wise men advancing towards Mary and the child, sometimes guided by the star or accompanied by elusive inscriptions. This repeated presence in the portals underlines the relevance that the adoration of the Magi had in catechism and in popular devotion. In many cases, Romanesque combined a narrative sense with a strong symbolic charge. The representation of the Magi together with other scenes from the life of Christ became a true stone Bible, accessible even to the illiterate. In addition, the variety of styles between different regions revealed how the story of the kings could be expressed in more rigid or softer forms, according to the schools and workshops of each area. In this way, the scene of the Epiphany became a fundamental element in the monumental sculpture of the time. Number 4. Various artistic supports. The versatility of the story of the Magi has allowed its representation in a wide range of artistic supports, from the smallest detail of a cameo to the grandeur of an altarpiece. In tapestries, for example, not only the visit to Bethlehem was recreated with colored threads and precious metals, but also the tour guided by the star. Similarly, tempera or fresco painting, sculpture in stone or wood, and even cloisonné enamel reflected the adoration on multiple scales and contexts. This range of techniques and formats speaks of the deep roots of the scene in all social classes, given that the pieces could be as modest as a small domestic panel or as sumptuous as the frontal of a high altar. In each case, the objective remained the same: to immortalize the search and homage of some wise men who recognized in the child Jesus the sign of a cosmic and universal order. Across centuries and styles, the diversity of supports gave new life to the same story, confirming the capacity of the Epiphany to inspire creative ingenuity. Number 3. Early indirect sources. Among the earliest indirect sources that allude to the Magi, there are comments by the Fathers of the Church and chronicles that, without describing the scene in detail, mention the presence of astrologers or wise men from the East at the time of Christ's birth. These allusions, often very brief, served as a basis for the later construction of legends around the kings. They were also supplemented by apocryphal works that, without being officially recognized, provided information about their names, paths, and motivations. These indirect mentions offer an overview of the diversity of interpretations that circulated in the Christian communities of the first centuries. In some cases, the writings focus on the astrological aspect, while in others they highlight the humility with which they offer their gifts. However, the coincidence in their role as witnesses to the divinity of Jesus cemented the importance of the Magi, whose figures would continue to grow in popularity and iconography over time. Number 2. Consolidation in the Middle Ages. It was during the Middle Ages that the tradition of the three wise men acquired its most defined and enduring form. Speculations about their names, ages, and origins were combined with the attribution of royal titles, captured in multiple artistic formats and popular narratives. At the same time, popular devotion and the cult of the relics linked to them promoted an unprecedented religious and cultural dynamism, making the Epiphany one of the key moments of the Christian calendar. During this period, the typology that we recognize was established: three visitors of varied age and ethnicity, offering gold, incense, and myrrh to the child god. The consolidation of this image in councils, sermons, and iconographic cycles left a lasting impact. By the late Middle Ages, the Magi became fundamental pillars of the Christian imagination, appearing on church doorways, illuminated manuscripts, and altarpieces that, as a whole, testified to the centrality of adoration as a symbol of the universal acceptance of Christ. Number 1. Persistence of the visual narrative. The scene of the visit of the Magi has demonstrated an exceptional capacity to survive in the Western artistic tradition, crossing styles, periods, and geographical regions. From the early Christian catacombs to the great medieval cathedrals, and passing through the meticulous work of the Renaissance workshops, the adoration of the Magi has been nourished by the aesthetic currents of each era. Its message of recognition and offering before the divine has maintained its symbolic meaning, adapting to the needs of spirituality and artistic expression. The universality expressed by the Epiphany, with wise men arriving from remote lands to honor a child, has been at the base of its persistence. Each generation of artists has found in the Magi an ideal subject to capture mystery, royalty, and humility, offering new visual visions that nevertheless maintain the essential features of the original narrative. This interweaving of history, art, and devotion has ensured that the Epiphany scene continues to inspire admiration and study, becoming one of the most deeply rooted visual narratives in cultural memory. Thank you for watching our video. Subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. Give it a like, comment your thoughts, and share this video with your friends and family.